Welcome back to the studios of LEB TV. Visiting with Brennan Willard, another week of race talk here on LEB TV as we chat things and talk about the weather again. Well, I'll tell you what, Saturday morning got up, turned the old weather channel on. Guess where they were? Paducah, Kentucky, getting ready to close the floodgates there. Yeah. I hope the Paducah Raceway didn't float into the Ohio River.
It's not good. It's not good. I've thoughts and prayers out to everybody down there. They spent a lot of money and time resurrecting. Little known fact, Dale Jr., Tony Stewart, I think Tony Stewart's part of it. I know Dale Jr. was originally part of that ownership group that revived it in the mid-2000s with Bob Sargent, Kenny Schrader, and they got Dale Jr. in on that one for a little bit. And then that sold off, and Paducah had went through like a 2 or 3 year stage where not much going on. And so a couple of years ago, they revived it. They've put a lot of time and money and effort into that racetrack and really turned the facility around. It's a beautiful facility. And I'll give you a fun fact about Paducah in a minute, but it's underwater and it's not good. So I hate that for a lot of people put a lot of time and money into that racetrack. Obviously, when you have a race canceled, that whole weekend got washed out. Everybody got washed out. It wasn't just down there, but wild weekend. Talladega was the only dirt race going on. And so that regional race turned into a national tour race, kind of like Maquoketa with the Nippy 50. This weekend will be the same thing at Lucas Oil Speedway. So wild weekend, but I tell everybody, when you have all these front-loaded schedules in March and April, you know it's going to rain sometime. It's got to. And so that's what happens. But we're ready to go. A lot of work last week. We needed the time off. We had some stuff we were trying to figure out, and switched cars to what we think. We switched our primary car back to the car we had at Vado and the blue frame car. And we didn't give her much time, and we had good luck with that car down in Boot Hill, honestly. So we just were trying some things. And so we have an open test Thursday night at Lucas, so that will be good. And they got to quit all these damn tests. I know we don't have to go to them, but seems like every week we got a Thursday night test somewhere, but hopefully, that's the deal in dirt racing and asphalt racing, and that's I'm trying to open the eyes of everybody of what's going on in the world in this show. An asphalt track has to have the practices because they're not getting the front gate to backload to pay the purse, so a lot of practices happen to fund the track. Dirt racing is getting. There used to be no testing on dirt racing; you just unload, go race, which to an extent, a little bit that way. It's really hard to learn much testing because the race conditions are so much. Even the only way to really test is to get behind another car and really have the aero part of the equation in dirty air into your test. And most people, you're not going to go get that close to a car and put yourself at risk in a race weekend, yada, yada, yada. But racing's your only real test, but there's a lot of Thursday night tests now in dirt racing, and I understand the tracks have to have it. It's $5,000 to $10,000 in extra income to pay that $100,000 weekend purse. So obviously they need the money, and the teams we all want to practice. We all gripe about the cost, and it costs $10 a lap on your motor, and so you're gonna go spend $200 or $300 worth of laps on your motor, and we're going to bitch and complain, and then I'll be the first ones there when it opens, when the doors and the gates open. So just how racers are. But we're our own worst enemy, and we need somebody to not let us test. Which, like series rules, you're not allowed to test a week before a race at that racetrack because they know we will go do it. We're our own worst enemy. When there's a open test like that, you're allowed to go. So pretty interesting to see how in my short time dirt racing, there was no testing really. And now it's like everybody, especially at the beginning of the year, front loads the year with their schedule, and they all have a Thursday night test. And you're like, can we not race every Thursday night? You're not really racing, you're testing, but same expense, and
Thursday Night Thunder.
Thursday Night Thunder. So it is what it is. Nobody's holding a gun to our head and making us go to the racetrack. So we're going to gripe and complain and gladly hand our money over and gladly go waste fuel, tires, and oil and wear and tear on a race car to learn something.
Any type of tech protocol that they make available, or is it mandatory on test day?
No, you can go. they'll check if you want to be checked, which every track scales are a little different. And, race car drivers were pretty stupid. We use aluminum weight clamps to bolt lead on our race car. So we use aluminum lightweight clamps to add lead to get weight. And you think about it, it's really dumb. But you can go through tech. You want to check the scales. Every racetrack scales could be 20 to 60 pounds difference, honestly, depending on what kind of scales they use. And that's, you can use that to your advantage. It's not as big as you would think, because time you get mud and everything on the car for qualifying. But your droop is the number one thing that's checked is droop rule. We got thrown out. We first night of the season qualified well at Vado, and we failed the droop check, which is, your left rear tire can only be, once it gets very, very little, I think it's 1/16 of an inch, which is basically a little piece of plastic or aluminum that goes underneath the tire. Take a tape measure under your deck, and they measure your deck bar down to the ground, and you're allowed 50 inches, which then you're allowed an inch tolerance, so now it's 51. You're allowed 50, but 1 inch tolerance, so 51. So when you hear somebody getting thrown out, you're actually an inch and a quarter, inch and a 1/16 off. So we push everything to the limit. So yes, you will go, you might try something to help your race car, but if it makes your droop illegal, then you're not really gaining. So anything you're going to test that's illegal, that's going to get checked, isn't going to help you. And the biggest thing, I laugh about this, but there's no secrets in racing. Like, everybody looks at everybody's cars. There's tarps on the cars to keep everybody out from looking. But if you ever go to the staging, it's just a game. And a lot of times, you and I might have the exact same setup on, and you may have a tarp on your car just to make me think you don't. But, if you can find something, you're only looking for 1/2 of a tenth to 1/10 of a second. If you can find that, and that's why everybody's going to be at these tests, if you can find that, it's going to help you for a long time. And that'll give you an advantage for 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and somebody else will find something different. So that's what makes it really impressive with Bobby Pierce, Ricky Thornton. Ricky Thornton's had, I don't know how many different crew chiefs, in the last year and a half. So for him to win the races he's winning, Bobby Pierce, same thing. Jonathan Davenport, they've got it going on. I think Devin Moran's program is really, really good right now. And Moran, I think Devin will be at Wheatland this weekend. Davenport's for sure entered already. So, basically all the cars that are going to be at the Show Me 100 will be there this weekend, getting ready to go for big payout too, $10,000 to win Friday and $20,000 on Saturday. So, huge shout out to Lucas Oil Speedway. Ernie Leftwich did such an amazing job at the MLRA. He helped get this event going, keep it going when MLRA shut down. And it's, Danny Lorton has kept the late model stuff going, the open shows going, put a big risk out there. It's a big purse, early in the year. Casey Schumann's come on board there, who used to be World of Outlaws racing director for World of Outlaw late model. So Casey knows the late model stuff. So you got a lot of really good people there, and we're just blessed to have this an hour from home. So be a big night, big weekend of dirt racing. And racing started, I think Midway opens Friday night.
Yep.
Huge night at I-44 Speedway Saturday night. And so, like Schrader said, local racing is taking off, and here we are.
Yep. You take the course of action through the week to kind of put your car under the microscope and try to find problems that you think are there.
Yes.
You think you get them solved, something else happens. So that's just kind of the world in which you try to thrive in.
We set our toe at exact, right? And then we go drive through holes. And it's like, you do all this work and you have everything. You have your travel numbers to the 1,000th of an inch, and then you go drive through holes. It's like, what do we, but, if you get it right, and the biggest thing is what's nice is to have a reset like we did, is to find something you've done wrong. You've made an adjustment. You've lengthened the bar instead of shortening it, or you've lengthened the bar, didn't check it, or there's always something that just a mistake anybody can make that you can find in these weeks off. So having a couple days in the shop to scale and regroup is always good for everybody, and everybody got that time. So you can't beat on-track experience in racing, but there's a lot. Races are won in the shop, and the amount of preparation it takes to get to the racetrack every week is probably 50 to 60 hours per race car on the track every week, just of man hours. So we're ready to go, and be exciting to see how Friday and Saturday go.
Well, you've been in the problem resolution mode this week, so your testing run on Thursday night will probably be more important for you than a lot of guys.
Yes, for sure. And then not only that, I feel like we have a pretty good notebook for Wheatland, and this will be the first time that I've got to go there with my notebook that I've used with other race cars at that racetrack. So that will be nice to back-to-back it, because Springfield, our notebook was okay, but I don't feel like we had the notebook for Springfield that we do for Wheatland, just because of the amount of races that we race there a year. So it'll be nice to go to Wheatland and see what we got. And it'll be a tough task to make the race again this weekend. There'll be 40 to 50 really, really good cars just trying to make the show, and over half the field will go home, just like a couple weeks ago. So it's the beginning of the year is always tough, it. And once you get your car dialed in, and if you have a good qualifying run, it sets the tone for your entire night. If you time in good, you'll be fine. If you don't time in good, it's going to be a long, frustrating night. So it's very hard to pass in the heat races. Doesn't matter if you're Wheatland, Springfield, Talladega, does not matter. The tracks are so wide open in the heat races. It's so hard to pass because everybody's wide open and equal, where by the time you can pass is feature time. And if you start 15th, it's just too late, too far to get back up there. So hard tire this weekend. So that's going to be a little bit different, but it'll be a good show for everybody to come watch.
Going to ask you about tires because you're in the springtime now. Mm-hmm. How much difference will the track condition be now compared to, say, early September after you've gone through a hot summer?
So this weekend we've had 4 or 5 inches of rain over last week. So Thursday night, there's a good chance the track's going to have some character, just because it had so much rain. But they've had all week to work it, and they've got great people, great staff, great equipment. So they're a little bit different than most places. But you're going to see in the springtime, usually you're a lot more wide open on the fuel. Obviously, the temperature's not, I think it's supposed to be 55 to 60 degrees Friday and then 70 on Saturday. So it's, the high temperature Friday and Saturday will be your overnight temperature in Labor Day weekend. So it's a lot different conditions by far. It'd be a lot more wide open, where later in the year track's going to be slick and hard on tires. You're not going to be hard on tires this weekend at all. It'll be very, very be wide open and go. Usually they have one night where the track slicks off in this race, and so when that happens, that will be a little harder on tires. And I laugh at it. The drivers love it when it's slick and technical, and you got to really be smooth and make the car go. And the crowd likes it when you're cowboy up and going through holes and rough, and drivers hate it, and the crowd loves it. I tell everybody it's kind of like watching a NASCAR race at Daytona and Talladega. The drivers absolutely hate it, and the crowd loves it. It's kind of the same thing. So what we like as drivers probably isn't the same as what the crowd likes, but it'll be you'll probably get one of each this weekend, and that's good. And it gives everybody goes home happy that way.
You expect some of the Touring Series guys to be there? Some of the Mars competitors, you feel, come down for that also?
Maybe. There'll be a couple. Tony will be there. I'll be there. I'm going to say what I would call the MLRA cars will be there. A lot of the Comp Cams guys will be there. A lot of the Mars guys will go race in Illinois. Like Fagers and Babb and all those guys will go to Farmer City. But your Lucas Oil National Tour guys will all come to Wheatland just for a tune-up. They'll come as far away as North Carolina. They'll drive past a lot of racetracks to come get ready for the Show Me 100 with, I think it's 50 or 75,000 to win. So it's a lot of money to win, and obviously a lot of prestige, and kind of their biggest race of the year.
Well, I mentioned some of the local events. I-44 Speedway, gates open at 4 on Saturday, racing at 6. They'll have the Chargers, the Crown Vics, the Street Stocks, the Hornets, and the late models. Midway Speedway Friday, Midwest Mods, Pure Stocks, B Mods, and Hornets. Springfield Saturday. Jerry Hoffman's observing 18 years of consecutive ownership of that track. So
Wow.
That's his season opener at Springfield as they'll get things underway on Saturday. And then Lake Ozark is also getting ready to go on Saturday.
Holy cow. You got every racetrack in the country opening Saturday night. So we're blessed in this area. There's a lot of racetracks. And, so we're sitting right where we're at here today. All those racetracks are within 1 hour of this studio. And it's pretty crazy to think about, but pretty awesome to have those options as fans and drivers. And, the asphalt will be cool. We're talking about Paducah. The idea for the Charger class came from Paducah, Kentucky. I was there in 05, 6, 7, 8, 3 or 4 years in a row watching Mars Series races back then. And they had a little 5th-mile track in the infield with 4-cylinder cars, and that's where the idea from the Charger class came from. I remember they had 30 cars there one night racing for a trophy, literally a trophy. They paid nothing to win. And the crowd loved it because the guy won with his damn door flying open all the way down the straightaway. And finally the door got knocked off and he still won. And it was like little things like that. As many races I've been to and seen before and after, I remember the Charger races. And I think they called them Hornets back then, and we call them Chargers now. I think a lot of people call them Bang Bangers, and just a cool little class. But that class started down there, and that's where the idea for it coming up around here came from, was Paducah. So hate that they went underwater, but kind of cool. Everything goes in a big circle. But, in the Crown Vics at I-44, I've been hearing, I know there was 18 of them at practice. So I'm assuming 22 to 24 opening nights, what they're saying they're going to have, which is incredible.
Growing class.
Second year of a class, 22 to 24 cars. Probably one of the biggest classes in the area right now. So, and very affordable. And that's, if people, I get asked all the time, what's the difference in asphalt and dirt? Why is dirt taking off? Why is asphalt, the 100 questions. And if people are wanting to get into racing and you're listening to the show and you're, man, I want to drive a race car. How can I go do it cheap? There's nothing cheaper than a Crown Vic. Nothing. And looks to me like more fun than anything. You're going to spend under $5,000 and have a really nice race car, and you're going to get to go have a lot of fun. And, the amount of fun that I had just watching that class last year was pretty cool. So we'll be at I-44, I'm sure, until parking on our off nights, watching and hanging out. But that's a pretty cool class, and they have the flyer class for kids with the go-karts, the electric go-karts, and those are a lot of fun. If you're a small adult, you can ride them too, and we have a lot of fun in those things. But
and I-44 didn't get washed out last weekend. They had activity there.
So I don't understand this truck deal, and I was going to go out there and didn't, but I watched videos, and I don't understand the lure of a burnout in a 3/4 ton Dodge diesel, but whatever. They had a good time, and I tell Aaron, I'm like, man, you need to do that at night. There's a race, and that way you can get some crossover, because obviously kids have interest in cars, and people worry about that. That's the number one concern everybody has is, your era, my era, everybody had a car, everybody do things to your car, and now they do it to diesel trucks. So how do you get those people to the racetrack and see? Because once people come to an asphalt late model race or a dirt late model race, they always usually come back. It's just getting them there the first time to see a good show. So it's awesome. It's opening weekend of race season around here. So we get to race local too. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And go support your local racetrack. I don't care if it's dirt, asphalt, gravel. I don't care. Go to the races this weekend. Have a good time and support your local driver. Go see him after the races and buy a T-shirt and buy a hot dog and have a good weekend.
Speaking of short track, NASCAR goes to Bristol this weekend.
The best race. Hopefully they have the tire that they had last year. The spring Bristol race last year was like a throwback race and a great race. So I'm looking forward to that one as well. I thought Darlington, the throwback weekend to me is the coolest weekend because you see the cars you grew up with. Denny Hamlin put on a clinic and I thought it was a great race. And sometimes it takes, Ryan Blaney drove through the field and was going to win, and then a caution come out. But really just watching a great race like that made me, now NASCAR was such a crap show the week before, and then redeemed it at Darlington. So I think I'm looking forward to Bristol and seeing what happens there on Sunday.
Truck race Friday and an Xfinity race on Saturday. All right, we've covered some new ground today, so hope you have a great weekend at Lucas Oil Speedway.
Come see us. Come, we'll have shirts and memorabilia, and come by, say hello, and come Friday night and go to I-44 Saturday. Make it a doubleheader.
Our show today has been brought to you by Schaefer's Oil. For Brennan Willard, Kevin Stubblefield, thanks for joining us today from the studios of LEB TV.